And we are live. It is once again welcome everyone to the Sanctum Sanctorum. I am your host, Widow's Son. With me today is TS, and still haven't heard a whole lot from StooDogg, but hopefully he's still doing okay and still tuning in. And we look forward to when he can come back and be on the show with us. So today we have. I know it's an early show for the week, but because of the holiday coming up and everything, and I have to work that day, I just went ahead and decided to go ahead and do the show today on Monday. Since TF was available, we figured we'd go ahead and make this happen. So today we have Kadenza. Kadenza is a YouTuber, excellent content creator, just an all-around funny guy. I've enjoyed his content since he came on the channel. And he's muted for some reason. I'm not sure why. But he invited me on the Out of This World podcast not too long ago, and I had an absolute blast doing that, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to do it again. But there he is. Now he's decided to,
Sorry. I was taking a big sip of coffee.
Well, I mean, we're all taking a drink of something while the mic is hot. So, I mean, just do it. Whatever. It doesn't matter. This is real, everybody. This is real life imitating art.
Yes, it is.
All right. So, TF, what are you doing, man?
Just relaxing after work.
Oh yeah, because you were putting in your time for work when when you popped in here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so how was work today, dear?
It was good. Didn't have anything catastrophic happen, which is always a good day for work.
Yeah, didn't catch coronavirus.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they're having a
every day you don't catch coronavirus at work is a good day.
Yeah.
TF is lying. He is plotting to. Hey, now, just no. Stop that. Bad wanderer. What's up,
well,
T-W?
We've already mentioned killing the president and coronavirus, which in the first 3 minutes. So.
Yeah, and that just means that we're all going to start getting visits from the FBI and Secret Service, and I'll be like, "Hey guys, good seeing you again."
Yeah,
they're already on to me.
It's just like you get to know them by name. It's just like they're just like it's like, hey Jerry, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, I already know people in the alphabet gang, so they're usually like, yeah, you're fine. So,
why don't look? You've got to figure out a way to put an end to this, okay? We can't keep coming out here every week and doing this.
What
else is there to do?
Exactly. You're not wearing your mask, Jerry. What about Corona?
Wear your face shields when you shower. You don't want any of that nasty fluoride water touching your eyes or mouth because it has coronavirus in it. I exposed him and somehow I'm the Wyong. That was a coherent statement, Wander.
Hey, Teddy Bear's here. Well, so Kadenza, you've obviously been doing YouTube a lot longer than I have, but how'd you get started?
I wouldn't say that much longer. How did I get started? Well, I first started making things seriously after making shitposting videos that I could post on Discord servers. And I used what I learned from making those shit posts to construct my own videos and just content, like stuff that I was interested in at the time or things that I wanted to explore because they were interesting or I felt like they didn't get enough attention, and it's been really rewarding so far. I'm at 548, so holy shit, almost 600. And it just a lot of it happened very recently. I've been broadcasting since October, doing live streams and stuff on my channel. So yeah, it's not that hard to like do your own stuff, you know. You just have to figure out what you want to do, which I'm still having issues with, and you know, pursue it. Put a lot of time into it. Stop watching Chinese cartoons and stressing about the world ending. Like, go do something in quarantine, like learn a skill, learn a new language.
Or just start reading books.
Yeah.
You know, there's a quote from, I believe it's Aristotle, and he says, "A house without a library has no soul."
Yeah.
And I
I don't know many people that have libraries in their houses anymore, but it's definitely better to, you know, take from a large amount of experience, and not just people even specifically in the field that you want to go into. Like, they might be experts, but you can learn something from somebody else that'll help you in pursuing that.
Well, I try to make this show just, you know, as laid back and as simple as possible. And yeah, I want to, you know, do more with it, but doing it this way kind of keeps me humble about it. You know what I mean? And I think that's one thing, especially when you do anything, you know, that interests you. Basically, just, you know, do it and be humble about it. And, you know, if good things come from it, then that's great. If you just do it for fun or what have you, then just go from there. But, you know, it can't, I mean, you're right. I mean, you got to just put time into everything. TF, you're really quiet today.
Yeah, I'm just listening.
He's like stuck in the middle of us. It looks like
looks
like we're fighting, and he's like the kid in the middle, just watching everybody.
I'm not a referee. I got my referee hat on. Really tell the picture.
Exactly. I think it would look better if it were black, though.
Oh, well, yeah, it would look better as black. It would match the aesthetic. I'm digging your new profile picture.
Well, thank you. Wanderer did an amazing job. I really,
did he really know? That's awesome, Wanderer.
He would send me. He would just send me, you know, when he would do a piece of it, he would send it to me and ask me what I thought about it. I mean, he basically just showed the whole process to me. You know, I'd get a picture every day or every other day, and it's just coming together. The banner that he's working on is going to be very, very cool. I can't wait to see how that comes out.
Hell yeah. Well, I can't wait to see it either. Wander is really good at art.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know how everybody all met, but there is a lot of artists in that community. Like, a lot of really talented people in Wanderer's community.
I've been in his server for a little bit, and I'll read some of the stuff, or if somebody's posted, you know, pictures or that they've done or stuff like that. I look at it, and a lot of it is really, really great. I'm really I'm very excited to see how the banners come out, because he's the monk style that he has in my profile picture. He's doing that for the banner, but he's putting 3 of them in there, and one's supposed to be me, one's supposed to be TF, and the other's supposed to be StooDogg. So how that's all coming out is the concept of that. He just mentioned that to me today, so I'm really really looking forward to it.
That's cool, man. Like,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I've been seeing like your channel grow. You know, and it might not seem like a lot at first, but I guarantee you that in a few months you'll start to see change. And if you keep going live like this, I'm sure it's like if you build it, they will come, you know, sort of thing.
Well, thank you, Kevin Costner. I really appreciate that. I mean, that's the only person you can really reference in that movie, other than oh God, James Earl Jones. That's it. I couldn't think of it. Like Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones are pretty much like the biggest names in that movie.
Can you imagine having James Earl Jones as your father?
Luke Skywalker can.
Yeah.
Yes, he can. Yes.
When he's mad at his kids, he pulls out the Vader voice. Like, Dad, I'm 43. That doesn't work anymore.
It's like, I joined the rebellion. Get over it.
That's when his kids go through their teen years.
Right. Like when they're little, they're like Padawan learners, and then once they reach like adolescence, they join the Empire, and then as they get older, they join the rebellion. So it's a slow movie. It's a slow moving process.
See, I would like for them to do a series in the Star Wars universe that
it's perfectly normal. It's natural. It's natural.
No, but I'd like to see them do a series in the Star Wars universe, kind of like they're doing with The Mandalorian, or what they did with Rebels or Clone Wars, and do it from the perspective of some people who are in the Empire, and do it from that perspective. Because right now
they'll never do that.
Right. Because
not while Disney holds the leash.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because I mean, honestly, if you did something like that, you would just see like some of these stormtroopers and guys in the Empire just going. No, they'd just be like, "Is this motherfucker crazy? Why is he constantly?" You know.
They did it from the perspective of like, maybe some special operations. Because
no, they did that in Battlefront 2's campaign.
Yeah, from what I understand, they were supposed to do that for a series at one point.
That would have been dope as fuck if there was Imperial Commandos, the animated series, or the live-action series. But yeah, Disney owns Star Wars, so you're never gonna see a campaign like from the perspective of the Empire, because the Empire are a bunch of racist Nazis or something.
Yeah.
Like they're legitimately like they hate aliens, you know? Like that's a legitimate fact about them, but it's just trying to draw parallels to our real world. It doesn't make sense in the logic of that world.
Okay, TF, just saying, you're gonna have the cowboy hat has now become your thing apparently. So yeah, any avatar change that you ever make, and I still love the one that you're using, but it has to have like a decent looking, like I guess big cowboy hat. So the cowboy hat is now your thing.
Okay, fine with me, man. Well, I like what Wanderer says here, where they talk about they tried it in Battlefront 2. Could work, however, the thing is, the way they did it was very good. And, that it could, and I think what they would have to do is just focus on, like, a small team, like a special operations unit of clone troopers, not clone troopers, but stormtroopers, and have them, tell it from their perspective. Because because I'd really like to see where you're having some stormtroopers and some of the commanding officers kind of having a moral dilemma of, do we continue working for the Empire? And it would introduce more of a human element to the story, where it's like, oh, okay, they're actually having to struggle with this thing of like, we're working for the Empire. We don't see the Empire bad because we're on this side of things, but then you could have one thing where you've got this moral dilemma for a couple of the characters.
Hey, the Empire would be a perfect example of the Trump administration. As much as I hate to say that, but I mean, think about it. You've got hypothetically, maybe pieces of it anyway.
Well, from a global perspective, when you look at every empire throughout history, whether it's like the Roman Empire, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the people who were part of the empire did not see themselves as the bad guys. And in fact, in many ways, we recognize Julius Caesar as kind of this good guy, and we owe it more to Shakespeare's play than we do anything else. But when you, and also to the part of history where he was murdered by his friends. But I think even
a lot of them were to begin with.
But yeah, I think we would have seen, if you could have gotten the perspective of anybody from any of those empires, they would not have seen themselves as the villains, whereas the people of the lands that they were conquering would have. And it would be really interesting to kind of get an insider's perspective on that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not justifying any of the behavior of those guys or any of the behavior that is wrong and obviously bad, because when you look at what the Assyrians did,
you're totally justifying it. Stop lying.
Yeah. Well, when you look at what the Assyrians did, they were just awful. They did things like put hooks through the upper lips of people and drag them out of the cities by it. I mean, they just did some awful things to people, and there's no excuse for that. But a lot of times your average citizens probably didn't even know. Some peon who's working in the marketplace probably didn't even know what the armies were doing.
Well, so Kadenza, you've been you haven't done your.
I agree.
Whoa. What?
Okay, yes, everybody trying to talk at one time. So you haven't been doing your show lately, and I know you've had a lot going on. Thinking about starting it back up soon.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that the old show is like attached to somebody who's no longer in my life anymore. So like I want to start broadcasting again and going live again, but yeah, it's
thinking about doing maybe like a rebranding or something.
Yeah, basically like change the name and the theme and just start back up again. But I kind of want to get away from some of that old stuff, because as fun as it was, like I don't think a lot of the videos that are no longer available on my channel are like good anymore. Like I just went through and took out a lot of them that I just didn't really like. I still have them downloaded, so they're not like gone forever or anything, but they're in an archive that I have. So
yeah, I was gonna say if you do a rebranding, just set those aside if people want to go back and listen to them or something, but just kind of keep them like in a playlist page or something.
Yeah, I wanted to do the playlist idea too, but something just made me want to like start over,
So you're going to transition from an alien to something else.
I'm going to change forms. Yes.
They're going to send you back to Earth. The question is, what are they going to send you back to Earth as?
As a virus.
It's too late. That's already been spoken for.
I'm going viral, baby. More viral.
More viral. So, Well, the persona and everything that you have now, the whole alien thing and all of that, which I think is really cool. But where did that, like, where did you get that idea from, or like start up doing that? Was it just like you wanted to do a different aspect of like your typical podcast kind of thing, or?
Well, I think the idea wasn't really about the alien. It was about being anonymous. You know, like I've had videos where I don't show my face completely and I'm wearing an alien mask. So I guess the idea kind of came from that, but like I I guess it's kind of inspired by like just the anonymous character from 4chan a lot. Like if you took the eyes out, it would literally be a picture of Anonymous, my profile picture right now.
Let's hang on. Let me go and look at that. I was actually just sitting and listening to some stuff on your channel the other day. Give me just a second.
Well, you mentioned Anonymous and 4chan. One of the things I found really interesting about that whole thing, especially with Chanology, which is probably my favorite thing 4chan has ever done. And I really wish they would do it again, because it's about time we get people to troll Scientology, even more. And
God, the fucking Scientology trolling feels like so long ago.
Yeah, it was 12 years ago.
I don't think that ever really stopped. Like, I think
no. It's more prevalent than ever, but they're the ones who started it, kind of.
There's
But man, I was just amazed at how organized they were with that. I mean,
oh yeah, like,
and then the way they recently trolled Shia LaBeouf about 4 years ago after Trump won his election.
I think I missed that one.
Oh man, you should look up what they did. I mean, the gist of the story is they found out where Shia LaBeouf was doing his. Oh gosh, thank you, Wanderer. Wanderer is over here just killing me, man. It's like he's got his eye toned in on me, but.
He's got that laser scope aimed right at your forehead, man.
Oh, he really does. He really does. And so thank you, Wanderer. And yeah, Operation Capture the Flag. So what they did, what 4chan did, is Shia LaBeouf had his performance art piece where he was yelling, "He will not divide us," talking about Trump. And so he got sick of people trolling him and doing all sorts of stuff at his site. And then he moved the flag and flagpole to an undisclosed location and had a 24-hour feed on a webcam going. And what they did is they used the flight patterns and star pattern, the constellation patterns, to pinpoint the location of this. And they had the general idea until a girl tweeted a picture that was tagged for Tennessee. Actually, she tagged the picture. It was tagged for some backwoods place in Tennessee. And then they used the star patterns, the constellations. They used the flight patterns. And then they had someone drive around and honk the horn. And the louder that the horn got, they were telling him, they're like, okay, yeah, it's getting louder. No, you're getting softer. And then when the guy finally saw the flag, they took his flag down and put a "Make America Great Again" flag up in its place.
Oh my God!
Jesus Christ!
I mean, it was just a brilliant. It was so brilliant what they did. I mean, just the level of dedication that they had to troll Shia LaBeouf. I mean, it was just genius.
I mean, the
Shia in his little cuck shed in the forest that they still found him in. Yeah,
it's like these guys should be working with the FBI, like trying to find missing people. I mean, that's how good
some of them are, but I think a lot of these people are so fucking under the radar. Like, they don't do well in school, they're antisocial, but they're really fucking good at hacking into shit and finding people, you know? Like, I did a video about the TikTok cat killer, and like the way that those people found her so fucking fast was incredible. Like, the police didn't fucking believe them. That's how fast it was.
All right, are you talking about the series that they did about don't F with cats?
Don't F with Cats is like a Netflix series. I watched it. I think what's happening, since, you know, Netflix is a wide streaming platform and a lot of people have access to it, you got people watching that series or just reading about it or hearing about it, and they want to be like the next Luca Magnotta. There's another one, actually, but they're all doing it for attention, you know? And I think the best thing that people can do is just not even show what they're doing anymore. Just say what they're doing and tell people to go report them, you know? Like, people can see for themselves if they want to, but you can't give them attention. You can't show their face. Like, I made that mistake making that video. But it was all things that they had posted publicly, you know? Once it's out there, it's literally out there forever. And a lot of people have it.
That's one thing I've always said. The internet is just a giant tape recorder that records 24 hours a day.
Well, when you get on Omegle and pretend to be killing cats, like, the internet is going to fucking find out who you are and hunt you down because you don't fuck with cats, you know? But there's something like pathological about the people that actually pursue. There's something questionable about them too, but it's, at least their heart's in the right place, you know?
Yeah.
To answer the Wanderer's question where StooDogg is, I'm not, as I've said before, I'm not real sure. I haven't heard from him in a long time. I know he's working from home, and he's been real busy doing his Jared Wars responses, but I sent him a message on Discord, you know.
Damn it, Stu. You got to post more often so you can cross the 1,000 threshold. I know you're listening right now.
StooDogg is with us in spirit. I can say that he is with us in spirit, and I'm sure that he'll be back, you know, as soon as possible. But, you know, I'm sure he's just got a lot going on right now. But I mean, I want him to come back as soon as possible too. I mean, he's. I talked to. Well, once again, Raz, that sounds like a personal problem. But it, when he comes back is when he comes back, and I mean, we all hope it's soon because we enjoy having him here. But I know he's been busy, so just whenever he's ready, it will happen. So. I mean, when, like, you were talking about having, you know, like, your subscribers and everything since you'd started, like, I'm almost at 50, and, like, I think that that's, like, the coolest thing ever for some reason. Because honestly, when I first just actually, you know, I had a channel and nothing on it, but I still had, like, I think 6 or 8 people that were subscribed to me for some reason. And then I just started doing content, and it's jumped up even more. And, like, getting to 50 is just like, it's like, oh my God, really? What am I supposed to do without this or do about this? I'm just like, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about posting often and really knowing who your audience is, like who you want to get, you know. And you've obviously got people in the chat. Like, this is as active as my streams get, and I have 500 subs and you have 44. So it's all about engagement with the subs you do have, you know, and like it's cool that you appreciate that, because a lot of people are just like, oh, I gotta get the algorithms, bro.
Right. I mean, why? The algorithms are going to handle themselves.
Right. It's only gonna go so far. Like if your shit is shallow, you know.
Exactly. I'm just like, don't worry about your analytics and everything. Worry about doing your content. That's going to update itself. Like, you know, it updates live every time you access it. Every time you move to a different page on it, it updates automatically. So don't worry about that. Check it occasionally and then just go from there. But, you know, worry about your content. Worry about the people that actually want to watch your show and your content, depending on whatever it is that you're doing. You know, worry about them, what they want to see and stuff like that. So, you know, but mine, I like having, you know, cool people on that want to have a conversation, just want to, you know, joke around. It's like I've told you before, I treat it like a radio show. Except I can't play music, and so basically it's talk radio, if you will. Talk radio, you're on the air.
Yeah, there's see the issue with doing things live as opposed to like recording something and then going back is dead air, you know?
Right.
Like that's always a fear of mine before going live, is just like, oh no, what if I don't have anything to say? But it's like, you just gotta forget. I kind of just forget that there are people listening, and just you know, I read the chat and stuff, but I'm not like consciously thinking about how many people are tuned in at any time, you know?
Right. Like I like the people that tune in while I'm actually doing it, because like, you know, Wanderer and Raz is here. But then, you know, I'll give it a little while and I'll go and, you know, check the views and everything, you know, just to look at it and see what it's like. And I was checking it yesterday, and I have 2 episodes that have hit 100 views already.
Wow.
And right. And I'm thinking, oh my God.
A lot of my original episodes didn't even hit 100 views. Like,
well, it was
8 months in, you know?
It was 2 specific episodes, though. It was the StooDogg episode, which was my second one. And it was the Cass Warfox episode, which I did. TF, when did we do that one? What, 2 weeks ago? No, it was the Saturday. It was the Saturday before this last one. So yeah, that one was like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and it, you know, it's already got, you know, 100 views and stuff. But I mean, the people that I know that have an audience and everything and would appreciate maybe having that person come on a show where it's, you know, you just talk about your content, talk about, you know, whatever, and have a good time while you're doing it. A lot of people actually enjoy that. So I'm just like, here's a chance to get to know somebody that you follow on YouTube regularly. Here's a chance to get to know them kind of differently and enjoy their content even more.
Yeah, like this is definitely awesome for me, because I don't have to be the host. And I don't have to set everything up, which is great.
Let's see. Wanderer says episode 10 will forever be the greatest episode, when Ball Assassin was founded. Okay, yes, that I will have to give that one to Wanderer, because everybody in the chat was pretty much just on point that day, and it was just me and TF in here just basically just shooting the shit, because every once in a while, that's, you don't have to have somebody on, and if you've got you and someone else that you play off with, you know, like with me and TF and StooDogg. What?
Sorry, I just heard that wrong.
You're an idiot. I think I'm going to have to fire you.
Oh, he's getting paid?
No, I'm just going to.
Am I getting paid?
No, I can. You're the guest. I can't fire you, but I can fire TF. I mean, I mean, I could put him in a timeout, but that doesn't do any good because it just makes him worse.
Do I get coffee breaks?
You get coffee breaks. No, you don't get
now I know how it feels to be Wander or Jackal on my show. Just like holding them hostage, like.
This is starting to become like C-Lab. I get fired every episode.
Since you were fired for the third time.
It's like at some point we can always count on the Wanderer to go, TF, you're fired.
TF is paid in big hats. Yeah, that I think that's the most logical payment for him at this point because he's naked without that big hat on. So
gotta compensate.
Do what?
I said gotta compensate.
Overcompensation is just misdirection.
It's all an illusion. Everything is tiny from the hat to below the belt. There you go. It's all an illusion. It's all just a sorry excuse. Don't let the hat fool you. There's TF's show slogan. Don't let the big hat fool you.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. Did you see that thing that I sent you earlier?
I tried to pull it up, but it wouldn't work for some reason.
Yeah, it's like on an ancient fucking website, probably made in the early 2000s, so it looks like some shit from the 90s.
Yeah.
But it's this guy called Paul Atkinson, and he's relatively unknown right now, but he's a really fascinating person. I did a video about him that I'm gonna plug real quick on my channel.
Sure.
It's called The Alien Whisperer.
The Alien Whisperer.
Which is appropriate because I am also an alien or something.
Does he whisper sweet nothings to you?
Yes, he does. Like his art it whispers sweet. Like you guys can't see it, but
his art whispers.
What I want you to do, don't close out the stream, but maybe open up a new window and type in Paul Atkinson and look at his art. You can go to starboycreations.com.
Oh, yeah, just found it.
Okay.
Man. Oh, this site is an eyesore.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, it's bad.
So this dude actually believes that he's an alien, and it's not just a haha funny joke. No, he actually believes he's from like another world, far away in the spiritual realm of whatever and triangles.
Lizard boy from Orion.
Okay.
Oh my.
Wow.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read the first paragraph on this page. Paul Richard Atkinson is a starseed artist, and he wrote this all. This is his website. A starseed is a soul that has had more lives elsewhere in the universe than on Earth. Paul specializes in producing vibrant and mind-expanding works that are loved and cherished from people all over the globe and beyond. He seeks to promote peace and union between galactic races and Earthlings in his picturesque works. He offers a healing service in which healing energy is imbued into a portrait. So not only does he draw pictures of like anthropomorphic alien lion girls, but he also puts his spiritual healing energy into the painting before he gives it to you. So that way it's twice as valuable. Seriously.
He hasn't done anything since 2018 though. Hasn't updated the site since then.
Yeah, I kind of wonder what happened, but he's very active on his Facebook, and it's not hard to find. Like, I'm not going to post it here, obviously, but I found out he's one of these dudes that is like anti-mask, anti-vaccine, just basically anti-anything that he doesn't understand, you know. And it's really kind of fascinating because he has this whole other world that he lives in, you know. He puts his soul into it. I think he puts more than just his soul into it. Maybe the paint has some special ingredient in it, if you know what I mean.
His Michael Jackson portrait is quite good.
Yeah. He's not a bad artist. I mean,
No, not at all.
I'm shit compared to him, but like I just
the Great Aliens arrive in 2008. That one's amazing.
It's just knowing that this is how he views reality. Like he takes this very seriously. It's like it's either a delusion that he believes in, or I don't know, maybe he lives with other people that all believe this kind of stuff, you know, the lizard people that live under the earth.
Like an alien cult, maybe.
Yeah. Alien cults are weird, man. Because like you never know if they're good or not. Like what if are they good aliens or bad aliens?
Oh wow, the reptilian retard is interesting.
Which one is? Where is that? I'm in.
2010.
A friendly snake woman. Reptilian retard.
That one's awesome.
Is that supposed to be George Bush? Is a reptilian?
No, it's you. Without the cowboy, before the cowboy hat, that's you.
I don't have gray hair though.
Not yet.
Well, I'm gonna go bald before I go gray.
Alien Children Love. October.
I don't even want to see that.
No, it's not what you think. It's October 2011.
Let me see that.
It's at the very bottom.
Alien Children Love. Okay, so it's a picture of a reptilian child and a human child, female, and they are presumably enjoying the view of a planet with a bunch of flying saucers coming out of it. So,
man, his drawing of Kylie Minogue is pretty on point.
It really is. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like her from the early 2000s when she came out with that song that made her popular again.
Yeah, his shit goes from like photorealistic to like literally what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, some of it looks like it's very high quality, and then there's like just diminished quality on some of it. So I'm wondering if he was on something that caused him to not be as focused in his drawings.
I think honestly maybe he likes to maybe take acid or something.
Oh, I have no questions that he probably does.
Well, either that or he did too much at one point and it just like kind of affected him the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean to make fun of the guy. I just want to point out that this stuff is out here, like it is definitely something. Like it's the weird though, because it's connected to this weird like ranch cult thing, and it's like, freaking weird. I don't know why do creepy people always have to have a fucking shed out in the middle of the woods, like, or a compound, like, what the fuck? He's probably harmless, but it's like a sanctuary where people go to like reset their spiritual energies or some shit.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, I can see that in a lot of his work. Like he's inspired by, like he'll maybe just go in the woods and take some LSD and spend 12 hours out there communicating with the aliens, and then he comes back and he does like 3 or 4, 5, 6 art projects and puts them out.
With some of these, I think he dropped acid and then watched Thundercats.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
see that
definitely.
style. I'm gonna be right back. I need some chalky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like he dropped acid and watched Thundercats and some, and then in some others he watched dinosaurs.
Not the mama.
Dude, that show is I think it's on Disney Plus now.
I really don't want to have anything to do with Disney Plus. I really just I don't like how Disney gets their hands on everything, and it disturbs me immensely.
Yeah, what's really shocking is they were back when we were in college. Disney was in such financial dire straits that they were that Comcast was thinking of buying them, and now it has reversed where they're actually considering buying Comcast, and the Federal Trade Commission was looking into it, and I was like, man, that should not be allowed. It should not be one of those things where a someone who provides pathways for content should be allowed to actually own a company that produces content. It's one thing for Disney to have its own app and everything like that, but it'd be a different thing if Disney owned Comcast, and then it's like, well, our stuff gets preferential treatment. And with the destruction of net neutrality, Comcast can do crap like that now. And all the other ISPs can too.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Did you just fart on my stream?
No.
No.
When you said oops, I'm like, really?
Shepard Smith did that on Fox News one time. They were cutting.
Dude, Biden let out a straight cloud, like he billowed.
Man, I'll be honest. I am looking forward to the presidential debates this year, just because, like, every comedian has said, they're like the comedic gods have smiled upon us and said, "Here you go. You get to have Trump versus Biden debates."
So disappointing. It's like a sequel to nothing is ever gonna top the Trump Hillary debates. Like, bring out your best fucking public speaker. It's not Joe Biden. Sorry.
No, they're gonna be more insane because you got one guy who's just an arrogant blowhard, and the other guy who can't make a coherent
sentence
at all.
He shits his pants.
Bunker boy.
He shits in diapers.
Wow.
Maybe Trump does too. I don't know.
Yeah, they both do.
That's like his greatest shame. Is that he's the president of the United States, but he has to
wear adult diapers.
Yeah, and he gets Melania to help him.
Like, I mean, honest. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, at least Obama probably took time to like shit.
He probably used the fucking bathroom. Was like, this is the second most powerful chair in the White House.
Right.
One thing
think about it. Like, he's like, excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. And like, he's just sitting there on the john, like reading a national security report, I mean, he's sitting there looking at, like, a budget analyst report.
Does the president have his own private bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
They
never show that.
Well, of course not. That's his that's his private office.
Oh, I see. So, like, they don't even want people to know where the fuck it is.
Well, here's where it gets a little bit more intimate / disgusting. They actually have a porta-john that the president uses because they don't want his feces and urine falling into the wrong hands. And I am not making that up. That is because the one thing that they can do is you can actually analyze someone's excrement and find out if there are any health issues that they suffer from. And from their urine, you can determine if they have diabetes. And that type of stuff is, that type of stuff could be immensely valuable to foreign intelligence.
Wow.
Oh,
You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, if Philadelphia can sell her bathwater, then Donald Trump can sell his turds.
hey, and every one of his supporters would buy one. Like I got Donald Trump. I got Donald Trump
Holy
poop in a
shit.
jar. Well, hey,
Yeah, they would.
hey, it's like when I was on your show.
They
a
would
couple-
eat his shit.
literally. He tried to sell it as like a rare spice or something like that. You know, like a truffle or some shit.
Ew.
No, it's like I was talking about when I was on your show a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the restaurants and the bars and everything opening back up, and I asked the question: if you walked into a bar right now, could you order a Clorox on the rocks?
Oh my god. Speaking of that, it's no secret to a lot of my viewers that I live in Florida. Holy shit, it has gotten so bad here so fast. Like, there's a mandatory mask thing after 5. You enter a building, you have to be wearing a mask.
Oh,
It's no longer optional.
That's happened in several places. I know in
Our
Nashville,
home,
Tennessee, they have
Thank
made
God,
it happen.
though. Like, they're finally taking drastic measure, but only when it's too late, you know? Like, the uptick on Monday is always lower than at the end of the week, just naturally by how we count it and how it spreads naturally, you know, or when the symptoms show up and progress through people. Like, Fridays are higher than Mondays. So it's pretty bad today.
That's
So by the end of this week, it's going to be exponentially worse.
Oh yeah, well, and that's only the people who've contracted it in the last 5 to 14 days.
Yeah.
That's not including.
It's not even counting right now.
Yeah.
Right fucking now, we won't even know 3 weeks from now. That's what scares me about it, because I saw what happened in New York. I didn't think that it could happen here because New York is so. You think New York and it's like dense, and Florida is way more spread out. But we got a lot of people here, and they're really fucking stupid. Like,
Well,
there's a reason that Florida man shows up in the news so often. It's because so many people are fucking Florida man or Florida woman. Like they're like Donnie from the Wild Thornberries, you know? It just can't be tamed. They can't be.
They speak gibberish and hop around.
Yeah. That's Florida people for you.
Like,
Well,
no, well, wait a minute. No, Florida is also God's waiting room because,
Yes.
because
And there's a lot of people in line. You know, it's funny because, like, I know for a fact that a lot of these people that aren't wearing masks and they're just going to the supermarket like elderly people do, but they make a point not to wear masks. Like, I go to the same Winn-Dixie probably twice a week now, you know, which is reduced from what I used to do, but it's still enough to get all my groceries for that week. And I see the same people there, but like, I know that they're doing it as like a political statement, and a lot of people just don't care. You know, there was a lady, I saw this posted on Twitter. She went to a supermarket, like a Whole Foods, I think, wearing nothing but face masks as coverings over her nipples and vagina. Yeah, so she literally wore a bikini made out of face masks as like some sort of political statement to a supermarket. And I was like, that's so fucking retarded that I understand exactly how they feel. Like,
Yeah.
I vibe with that energy because I'm from that backwards craziness, you know, like I recognize Florida when I see it.
just like
Well, and
just like we recognize Mississippi when it happens. You
Yeah.
know, because and see, talking about the masks being mandatory, the city in Mississippi, mine in TF's hometown, they just put that in place. You go out in public without a mask, it's a $250 fine.
Finally, people are like,
But
I
no,
don't know,
there's
why did we open up so early? Is my question.
because Trump wanted to kickstart the economy, and he's sitting there trying to claim he's just like, I won't shut the country down again if this happens. You didn't shut it down in the first place. It was the governor. It was the
You
governor.
put it on pause. You didn't stop.
Right. The governors are the ones that shut the states down. And then you're going to sit there and have the audacity to tell them that they're going to have to get some kind of permission from you to do something with their state. You have no control over them. That's why each state has a governor. It's that person's job to run the state. Unless it's something to do like nationally, they don't answer to you. And and Donald Dump, as I call him, he has this thing in his head where he thinks that everyone just immediately has to bow down to him. And I'm sorry, but Donald Trump is a mixture. He is a mixture of George W. Bush, Richard Nixon, and George Wallace. That's exactly what he is. I mean, he has the mental capacity lower than George W. Bush. He's corrupt, if not more corrupt than Richard Nixon, and he's as racist as George Wallace. So this is the time right now, in my opinion, where we need Hunter S. Thompson. Because if Hunter S. Thompson were still here, he would have a fee. And TF, you know that just as well as I do. Hunter S. Thompson would be having a field day. We would get a new book every 6 months. I guarantee it. I mean, because think about it. When he was writing about Nixon, he would literally light a fire under people if he were still here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the drugs took him too soon.
Well, and I think a lot of people too, when it comes to the presidents, the last really ever since Bush, we've had a couple of things that have kind of put the president out there more, where you've got 24-hour news, and that happened more at the end of Bush 1 and Clinton, and then you had social media where you've just got complete saturation. So now instead of, catching up with the news at the end of the day like you would before CNN hit the scene, you can catch it at any point. And then with social media, not only can you get it 24/7, you can get notifications and boom. And so the next thing that happens is it's just ridiculous that we get this, like, they don't even have to report the full story. And there have been a lot of cases where there is this initial story and it creates this public outrage, and then the rest of the story comes out, and then people are like, oh, well, I shouldn't have been that pissed off. A good example that happened under Obama was presidents up until Clinton were supposed to receive lifetime protection from the Secret Service, which, as a taxpayer, I have no problem, because typically at most we have 6 presidents that are alive at any given time. 6 former presidents. So I don't mind them having Secret Service protection. Clinton passed a law that said every president after him would only get Secret Service protection for 10 years. W comes on the scene, doesn't do anything about the law. Obama comes in, and his first executive order, or one of his first executive orders, is to rescind Clinton's executive order that then gave presidents lifetime protection. And people got all up in arms about Obama doing that. And I was like, no, Obama is just restoring the law to what it was.
Exactly.
What it's supposed to be. And especially,
And it's funny you mentioned that because me and a couple of other friends of mine, we were talking about that just like a few days ago, about the former presidents not getting lifetime Secret Service protection.
Well, now, they do because of Obama, and people were upset. They were like, "Oh no!" I was like, realistically, it only affected one president, and that was the president right before Obama.
I think we should get.
Only George Bush wouldn't have Secret Service following him around. Like, there aren't a million people that would want to kill him.
Yeah, and that's why Obama made it go back to what it was previously. So it's really interesting. A Democrat put that in, like, changed the law through an executive order, and then another Democrat rescinds that executive order and changes the law back to what it should have been, what it was originally.
I think we should because Kadenza is an alien. I think he needs to have lifetime Secret Service protection.
No, you see, I'm running away from the Secret Service. I don't want those alphabet boys to show up on my doorstep.
I think you mean CIA protection.
No, that's even worse.
That's there's a Secret Service within Area 51. They're so secret that nobody knows what they do.
Well, and what's really interesting is I've got friends who were in the Air Force, and some of them were actually stationed out at in the area of Area 51. And what they've told me, they're like, yeah, that's just where a lot of our top secret testing goes on for weapons.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought too.
Say what, Kadenza?
That's pretty much what I thought too, but that's probably what they would tell them to tell people.
Right.
You know, they didn't tell them when they snuck a flying saucer on the back of a pickup truck into the base. Nobody said anything, but
except for Will Smith.
Yeah.
Punched that alien and said, "Welcome to Earth."
I think you should have.
Why can't movies be that fucking testosterone filled anymore? Like, I feel like when I go see an action movie now, it's like, and I'm not trying to be sexist, but like, it's almost like you can tell when the action is directed by a female that doesn't know what they're talking about or doing. Like, a lot of men can't direct action either, but I don't know. Like, I watched Charlie's Angels recently, the remake.
Oh.
It was free. I didn't pay for it, but it was really bad. Like,
we don't have great action movies anymore, like Die Hard and Rambo: First Blood Part 2 and
They Drew First Blood.
Speed. Speed was a great movie. You know, we don't have Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I mean, we don't have great movies anymore, period, hardly.
yeah.
Well, all of those movies that you mentioned, it goes back to part of the discussion we had on Saturday. It all comes down to the story. In each of those, they had characters that you connected with, that you really wanted to see. The good ones you wanted to have succeed, the bad ones you wanted to have fail. And then even though you knew Arnold Schwarzenegger's character in Terminator 2 was a robot, you still felt John Connor's loss, that the only male role model that he had that was actually good and decent to him was the machine that had been originally engineered to kill him. And it was just so, like, when you see him crying at the end, you're just like, oh man, that really sucks. I mean,
and then Terminator 3 happens and a bunch of weird nonsensical shit about fate and Judgment. You can't stop Judgment Day. Like, that was wasn't that the ultimate goal? Like, why did they decide to go in the direction that the apocalypse was inevitable? I'll never know, because the entire original plot revolved around stopping Judgment Day, and then they get to the final acts of the third movie and they find out that no matter what they did, it was always going to happen anyway.
Well, it's because of the theory of time travel that they took. If they took a time travel theory that there were no parallel universes, and if you look at and that you could go back in the past and change something in the past and then affect the future. But if you look at, Avengers Endgame, and which Avengers Endgame, the time travel there is based on legitimate theoretical physics, because before they wrote the script, they consulted a leading theoretical physicist about time travel. So that whole line about where the Hulk says, you can't go back and change the past. The past is the past. If you go back and change something in the past, you just change something for a different reality. So they didn't go that way with the Terminator franchise. If they had, then no, Judgment Day is not inevitable. But then you would introduce a Terminator multiverse, which actually would have made the series
That's actually what's happening. Like, it's not all one cohesive story. It's like multiple universes, which is not in the. I don't think it's in the original vision. Like, if you look at the first movie, whenever you're judging a series, whether it's Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever, look at or even like Law and Order, like, look at the original, not all the spinoffs, for what the inspiration was. And if it doesn't have that, then it's no good.
I'm just kind of to the point with movies today that I don't even now. I'm looking forward to Bill and Ted 3.
Oh yeah,
that.
Same.
And I'm looking forward to the Ghostbuster movie coming out. A real
Meh.
No.
I'll be right back, John.
No, I'm looking forward to that, because after that pathetic monstrosity of a supposed Ghostbuster movie that they gave us, this one's actually going to have the original cast, without Harold Ramis, of course, and it's actually set in that universe. And Ivan Reitman's son is the one that's directing it, and since Ivan Reitman directed the first two, he's going to have a hand in it somewhere.
Right.
So
these old like franchises, I think a lot of them can be brought into the modern like time. Like, look at what they did to Star Wars, though. Like, I don't know if you've seen all the sequel movies, but they progressively got worse. And the last one is just like a clusterfuck of everything a committee would think you would want to put in a Star Wars movie, but none of it really makes sense when it's all connected together as a film. And it's kind of like, what's the point, But they lost the magic there somewhere. But then they come out with The Mandalorian as a Disney Plus exclusive. Like, they sold that on getting to watch that show, which I did. I bought it. I shilled out to Disney and I bought a Disney Plus thing just so I could watch The Mandalorian and the Clone Wars season 7 and just some other stuff. Like, there's a lot of Nacho documentaries on there that I like, but it's an inferior streaming service overall. But anyway, get back on point. The Mandalorian is actually really good, and it captures a lot of what the original Star Wars was going for without being just a complete ripoff. Like, there are references to things in the older movies, but it feels more like an actual show that's set in the Star Wars universe than I think they've ever done before, because it feels real.
The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they recaptured a lot of the original sort of magic with that. So I think it's possible to bring things into the future, but you can't. Also, I'm not asleep yet, and it is past my bedtime. The fuck you gonna do about it, bro? Go to sleep! Go to sleep! Motherfucker!
Well, he said TF, so I think he's referring to me.
Yeah, just listen to
I am Vault
listen
Tech.
to Morgan Freeman's nighttime lullaby thing on. I think it's on YouTube.
No, listen to Samuel L. Jackson read "Go the Fuck to Sleep."
Oh right, that's not Morgan Freeman.
Please.
Black people look the same to me. I'm a racist. I got a cousin called Racist.
Do you?
No, that would be an unfortunate name, though.
That poor child. Oh,
So-
TF, look at your Facebook Messenger. Look what I just sent you.
Yeah, I did. Thanks, bro.
Hang on, Kadenza. I'll send it to you on Discord. Give me a second. You'll get a kick out of this.
Just want to say, Ron DeSantis, Florida's governor, is a genocidal bastard, and he should be kicked out of office. Fuck DeSantis. Literally anybody else would be better.
Oh yeah. Okay. If I think this will get a big laugh out of Kadenza. Give me just a second. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, go look.
If face down, ass up was a person. Oh, damn. Are you serious, man? That's not very nice.
I found that on Facebook. I didn't make it. I found it on Facebook. A friend of mine posted it. That wasn't quite the reaction I was hoping for, but I'll take it.
Well, I'm gonna have that image seared into my brain tonight. Be grateful, chat, that you don't have to see that. I mean, it's it's not the worst I've ever seen.
I was about to say he's having that thought in his mind, like, well, now that I look at it, that might not, it's like now that I look at it, it might not be a bad thing.
Yeah, that's normally how that thought process goes. Huh. They disgust me. I want them.
It's like I'm disgusted, but totally aroused right now. I don't know why.
Kathleen Kennedy. Have you heard of the Red Devil, the retard on 76 going around killing rookies? No, but that sounds pretty epic.
I think
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think I traumatized TF.
Yeah, he
Slightly.
seems to have
You
faded.
traumatize me daily, so and that's.
I think TF is of the same mindset as you, Kadenza. You know, he's like, now that I think about it, that's not a bad idea.
It's not so bad after all.
You just turned the lights out.
I just sent you.
Just put a bag over their head. Not a plastic one, because that'll cut off their air supply. You don't want that.
Oh,
you gotta have a pretty big trunk. You know, and like a shovel and stuff ready to go.
Oh, now the one you sent me, I like that. Here, I'll send it to him too. I think this. Okay, I think this will make you feel better.
Oh, the one that I just sent you.
Yeah. All right. There you go, Kadenza. Maybe that'll make you feel better.
Me and my master are coming for you, TF. Bring it.
Why am I getting messaged a million times by one person? Who the fuck is that? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. There you go. Does that make you feel better from the previous one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kluxbuster.
I know. I've got to find them somehow. Be like, I want a T-shirt.
When you got them ghosts burning them crosses, who you gonna call? Kluxbusters.
You should write their theme song.
Yo, I should.
Yeah, you should write their theme song and let Cryville make some music for it. I just this I'm so disgusted with everything going on right now. I just
Yeah. It started out strong, but I'm honest.
We just lost Kadenza. Is he using Comcast?
Hang on, let me hop on Discord and see what happens. If he pops back in, I'll let him back in. Oh, there he is.
Oh. I'm not
Dude,
sure.
look.
Okay.
What
good.
happened?
Oh, I don't know. I think I clicked out by mistake.
Look, if you don't want to be on the show, I mean, come on.
Well, I'm just getting out of here. No, I was just saying, like,
it's like these are the two most boring sons of bitches I've ever talked to.
I know, but that's normally how it goes, man. Like,
wow,
I'm good for like an hour, and then I'm like, I don't know what to talk about, you know, like, and it's nobody's fault. It's just like, it's just been draining lately. Like, that's how I would describe it. Like, everyone I know and myself just feels really drained all the time. Like, we don't have as much like energy, you know, and it sucks, but you gotta stay strong and like overpower it, you know, one way or another. Like, we're gonna get through this pandemic, and then life is gonna go back to somewhat like it used to be.
Whatever that was.
Right. I don't exactly want to go back to the way things were, because that's how we allowed a pandemic to spread in the first place.
Well, honestly, I'm surprised at the world's resilience at this point, because we have, you know, it's like the last 3 years, it's just been slowly going downhill. We find a way to get through it, but there are always those people that just want to put a stop to the people trying to make it better. And that doesn't make any sense. Like, you know,
Status quo must be maintained.
Right. But like, I see all these people that are getting mad because they're like, they're mandating masks and that's against my constitutional right. No, it isn't.
You can literally suck my fucking green alien balls if you think that being asked to wear a mask inside an establishment that you don't even fucking own is invalidating your fucking constitutional rights. You can write that down, sign me up, check me out for that, because fuck you and your stupid fucking delusions about what you think your freedoms are.
Exactly.
You don't even have freedoms, you dumb fuck. America isn't a democracy anymore.
Well, we've always been a republic. It's a representative republic, and we do have freedoms. But the issue is pandemics. In cases of pandemics, they've always issued quarantines to protect the general welfare of people, and that has always been understood. And if, you know, and even in cases, the federal government can suspend the writ of habeas corpus and declare martial law in order to restore peace and order, so then you can get your freedoms back. A case in point were the 92 LA riots. That was when the president had to suspend the writ of habeas corpus and then deploy the military in to bring order. They're probably going to have to do that in Minneapolis right now, because, you know, they dissolved the police department. And I don't know if y'all heard about this, but the city council members who voted to deploy or to disband the police department are now getting, 3 of them are getting private security paid for by taxpayers, and it's $4,500 a day per per council member. The rest of them are wanting the same thing. If those three keep going the way that they're going after a year, the private security is going to be $18 million. If all of them get their private security, it's going to be $40 million. Do you want to know what the police budget for the entire department of the Minneapolis Police Department was?
How much?
$30 million. So in order for those few council members to get their secret private security, armed security, by the way, protection, they're spending $10 million more. They're spending 33% more than the entire budget of the Minneapolis Police Department. But it's like, screw the rest of the citizens. Screw the private citizens. You know, and so here they are talking about defunding the police, but yet they're spending more than the entirety of the police department.
Oh, something needs to be done about the police, though. Like,
well,
they are imprisoning people in this pandemic in America at a rate that is unbelievable. Like, I think part of the reason that it's spreading is inmate populations. You can't fucking social distance everybody inside of a cell. You know, like, we just keep putting people in jail for petty things, and we say it's to rehabilitate to them, but it's really a punishment system that your tax dollars pay for. And once they get out of that, they're left with basically nothing. And if they had any money when they were processed, they'll get that back minus the fee to book them. So it's fucked, man. Like, they leave you.
Well, they do have to get rid of the
no
private prison system. That's just absurd.
I don't know what we're gonna do about the police, but they've always overstepped the bounds of what the law is to not only like respond to actual threats, but to create situations in which they were under attack when they weren't before. They instigate a lot of the situations that they are involved in. You know, it's like, if you're a cop and you're trained and you're dealing with a fucking crazy drunk person, like, are you really gonna like immediately go towards being aggressive and trying to get them on the ground? Because that drunk person is gonna fight you. They probably can't do much, but then you're gonna go and like put your knee on his neck and like shoot him with the taser. You know,
Well,
I saw a
neck,
video where that just happened. What?
The knee on the neck technique is not what they're trained to do. So when that one officer did that to George Floyd, he was actually breaking protocol. In fact, police officers in their training are not taught to do the knee on the neck thing.
And police don't. A lot of police don't give a shit about protocol, though. They see themselves as like a Punisher, you know, like the Marvel comic book hero. That's why a lot of them wear the Punisher logo on their squad cars and uniforms. It's to represent that they think that they're a vigilante who's above the law, who can just take bad people's lives without, you know, any consequences, which they basically can. They can just end a bad person's life in a second and then never be punished for it. Like, for every George Floyd, there was probably hundreds of people who died in a similar or same way, but it just wasn't recorded, you know?
Right.
Well, I looked at the statistics on that, and when you look at I think it was like I can't remember how many thousands of encounters people have with police. You still have a 99.99998% chance that encounter is going to end peacefully. It's in those rare cases that now granted, yes, police brutality is a thing. There should be some things that go on, and one of the things I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast with Jocko Willink on it, and Jocko, if you don't know, is a retired Navy SEAL, and he served 10 years as enlisted and then became an officer and served 10 years as an officer and got his full 20 in. And so what he was saying is when they would go do a 6-month deployment with the SEAL teams, they would train for 18 months. And he said police should be spending about 20% of their time training. And Bernie Sanders even said we shouldn't defund the police. He said, in fact, we should actually increase funding to the police, because then that would mean that departments can then pay for more training. They can pay for more or less than lethal options. And I also have a friend who's a cop who confirmed all of this with me as well. And he said, and then you can also too retain the good officers, because what winds up happening, a lot of guys who become police, they max out their pay, what they can get. Well, if you have a private security firm coming to you and they're offering you 3 times what you can make as a police officer, and you're a good cop, you have a good record, you'd be an idiot not to take that offer.
Right.
And so that's what happens to a lot of the good cops. But the other thing too that you have is, and this is probably the biggest thing that plays a factor into it. My friend who's a cop, he said he went back and watched the video of the officer with George Floyd, and he said you could just see that the officer had bad eyes, that he's just zoned out. And when a soldier is deployed, even when you're deployed as a soldier, let's say if you go in with the Marines or the Army, at most you're going to be overseas for 18 months, and then you're going to be shipped back for R&R. Well, even when you're deployed, you're not constantly out in the battle zone. It's not like you go to bed, wake up the next morning, and then you're back out in the field. You're rotated out. And even in combat zones, you're still given some rest and relaxation. You still have some areas on the base where you're relatively safe. Well, a cop, you don't have that. It's like you go day in and day out, and they don't get any R&R. And if an officer goes and seeks therapy and his superiors find out about it, in a lot of departments that is frowned upon, and your gun is taken and you're given a desk job with no chance of being promoted at all. So one of the things that we need to do is have therapists and other mental health professionals in these departments where the officers can go seek therapy and make it mandatory. Okay, you're going to go talk to a therapist once a month. You're going to have this monthly appointment, and you're going to talk, you're going to unload. And another thing that I would do would be like, okay, every 6 months, we're going to rotate the officers out, where if you're working a desk job, you go out in the field. If you're working out in the field, you go to the desk job. And that gives them some type of R&R to where they learn more of the procedures of the department. They're also learning how the paperwork works. And then they're also learning how the field works. And you give them those reprieves, and it's like, okay, they're not under that constant stress. And so there are a lot of things that could be done, but you also, a lot of departments wind up losing good cops, because like in Memphis, they cut the pension. So they cut the pension of all the police officers, but gave every single city council member and the mayor a huge raise. And then, so you had a lot of cops in Memphis is still dealing with over 1,000 officers, that vacancies that they need filled. It's the same in a lot of big cities. They just simply don't have that funding. And then even if not funding, they just don't have the amount of officers that they need. But then even if they get the officers, a lot of these departments are also underfunded. And what they have to do is supplement that with citations. So the citations go directly back into the police departments. And the citizens complain about it. And it's like, look, traffic stops are necessary, because if a cop sees a guy swerving, you want that guy pulled over. If a guy's going like 90 in a residential area, you want that guy stopped by the police, because that could hurt an innocent person.
Right. Like, I think it's retarded to actually think that the police should be taken out entirely, because, I mean, look at what happened to the Chaz zone. Like, it's
oh yeah,
it's a fucking hippie commune, man.
They became worse than their worst nightmare.
Yeah. It's going to be the worst thing you've ever fucking seen. That's what living in a place where there's nobody around to uphold the law is like people will do whatever they want to you and get away with it. Like there's a reason that we have fucking cops, but they've neglected their duty, their station in life. And yeah, they need to be out of
The
pressure
the police need police.
They're humans too. Yeah, they're humans too, and that's the problem is like we have to hold them to this higher standard, but at the same time, we need to acknowledge that they're human beings who need to be like de-stressed or something. They're in situations constantly that are questionable, and they probably fear for their life going to work every day, which I can understand really sucks, but it's like you chose to do this, you know, like you chose to pursue this line of work, and you need to be held to that higher standard, but you also need to make sure that you're not a fucking cruel asshole who uses a badge to get away with fucking with people. You know?
Get away with murder, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all my cop friends are the ones, they would agree with you on that. They would they've actually been the ones to say, you know, we of all people should be calling out the bad seeds amongst us and getting rid of them. They said we should not be protecting these people. They said we should protect good cops. But I've actually had cop friends tell me, you know who the bad apples are. Like, you know who the bad seeds are. But they're like, there's a lot of times they know how to skirt around things. And one of the things that happened with body cameras, so this is what one of my cop friends told me. He said the great thing about the body cameras is people talked about a lot of the complaints about police brutality dropped, and what wound up when you look at what really happened there, it was because the cops had the body cameras. People could no longer make a lot of the false accusations. So, but there have actually been legitimate examples of abuse of power where like a cop didn't realize that his body cam records 30 seconds. So the moment they start recording an incident, the 30 seconds before that are actually recorded. So a cop didn't realize he was on video planting drugs on someone's car. And so that got him in a lot of trouble, got the person out of hot water. And yeah, again, my cop friends were the ones who were like, yeah, we need to get rid of those guys.
The police need to have the ability to turn the body cams on and off, taken away from them.
Yeah. It needs to be a constant from the moment they clock in to the moment they clock out, or however, whatever the fuck. Like, I know that they record when they go on duty. Their cameras turn on when they go on duty and they turn off. It's controlled somewhere else. They have to turn in their body cams at the end of the day for it to be archived somewhere. You know, like it's a big fucking responsibility, but hey, you know, like why wouldn't you want to have video evidence of all these altercations for court later?
Oh, know? Yeah. Well, that bailed a cop out of hot water. Sean King had gone on this tirade about this woman who had accused a Texas trooper of raping her and cuffing her and all of this stuff. And the body camera footage totally exonerated the guy. I mean, like nothing that the woman accused him of actually happened. And Sean King did a complete retraction of it. But this is after identifying the officer, dragging his name through the mud. And a lot of people were like, hey, if you want to sue this guy, we'll do this pro bono for you. They're like, we'll take care of it. So there have been many cases where the body camera footage has exonerated and protected the officer. And that's one of the things a lot of officers are actually pro body cameras because they're like, yeah, it'll protect us. And one of the things that happened when they started mandating that in a lot of departments, a lot of the bad cops wound up resigning or retiring. And again, my cop friends were like, yeah, those were the ones who needed to resign and retire because they were the ones that caused all the problems. So they were like, the rest of us, they're like, we have nothing to worry about. We accept it as part of the job, and quite frankly, we welcome it.
Well, I wish more people thought like that, but as Moist Critical said, there are still people that think, especially here in Florida, there are people that think if you put on sunscreen, you're going to go straight to hell. So, you know, like, why is it even a debate about body cams at this point? You know, I feel like the people that are holding up the legislation on that, they're like, oh, we don't have the money. We don't have the money. Fuck you, dude.
Well, there's already federal programs that the Obama administration signed that they passed the legislation for, and it was actually passed bipartisan.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so the funds are there. There are federal programs.
They're just not making it into anything. Just like all the money that went to the stimulus didn't do shit for people.
Hey, TF, take over for just a minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay, man. Well, one of the other things I was looking at with this, so a lot of people are concerned about militarization of the police. I'm concerned about that too, and I know a lot of officers who are as well. And one of the things that happens is there's this federal program. So when the military gets done using a lot of the equipment, there is a direct pipeline. It's usually a grant where police departments can then get this equipment and then use it. But the program says in order for them to not be charged for it, they have to use it within a year. So that program is actually making the problem worse and kind of encouraging it. And the reason why cops do need like armored vehicles, or especially the SWAT teams, there was an incident in LA in the 90s where two gunmen robbed a bank, and they had this planned out to a T. And when the cops showed up, they had body armor, and there were only like a couple of gaps in the body armor where bullets could go and wound them. And they had just basically outgunned the police. And it took a couple of cops who had military training to realize what was going on. And they knew how to flank the guys. And they shot one of the dudes and got him in one of those weaknesses, and it killed him. And then the other gunman turned the weapon on himself and shot himself. What they were actually using were not, semi-auto rifles. They were using full auto rifles. I mean, you can watch the video and you hear like, and this is after the 1986 assault weapons ban. So these guys had illegal possession of illegal firearms, and they still committed their crime. And that's what inspired that program, because they didn't want that to happen again. And that's one of the things.
They wanted the police everywhere to have a stockpile of military weapons,
well, not just weapons. It was stuff like armored vehicles.
Right.
That's so that way they could drive it through and neutralize the situation, because there were innocent people caught in the crossfire who were being held hostage. And so the cops were, and some of the equipment they also get are, things like that help them defuse bombs, and we can
specialized kit and stuff.
Yeah, it's not all like stuff that makes them act more heavy-handed. A lot of it is equipment that if you ever find yourself in that situation, you want the cops having, like the robots that can defuse a bomb. Because it doesn't happen very often that somebody plants bombs somewhere, but when it does happen, it will wreck your nerves. And it's also too, a lot of those same people who say, no, they shouldn't have any of this equipment, are the very same ones who, when one of those incidences happened, they're like, why didn't the cops have this weaponry? Why didn't they have this equipment? And they're also the same ones who want to defund the police, but they also want to take away my right to own guns. And I'm a huge gun nut. I mean, I love guns. But at the same time, too, just as this conversation opens apparent, I'm not one of those guys who's going to use it illegally or use it to harm someone.
No, I mean, it shouldn't be a conversation about taking away gun ownership. It's making sure that the people that actually have weapons
All right, I'm
people
back, gentlemen.
aren't going to be committing crimes to the best of your ability, because sometimes something slips through and a crazy person gets an Uzi. Like it just.
That's one thing I've always said. I've said that the public does not need to own military-grade weapons.
Well, technically the public doesn't. I mean, really, we don't. If you want to own a full auto weapon like an Uzi, you have to. It has to be manufactured before 1986, and you have to have a stamp from the federal government, and you also sign over your Fourth Amendment right to illegal search and seizure. And so basically, the federal government's like, yeah, we can come in and search your premises anytime, which is why those weapons are now owned mostly by shooting ranges and gun shops, because they are already under state and federal regulations, and they have to be inspected so often anyway. But when people look at things like an AR-15, that's not a military weapon. There's no military on earth that uses it. It's semi-auto. It's you pull the trigger once, you have to reset and pull the trigger again. It's you're not going to you're not like the guy who did the Las Vegas shooting with an AR-15. He had a bump stock, and that counted as a modification, which is actually banned by the 1986 assault weapons ban, which is why Trump could then write an executive order and ban bump stocks and still not have it be a constitutional crisis.
Yeah, I kind of wondered why that slipped by. Like, you'd think people would care about that more.
Yeah, it's they did. A lot of people did, but when you look at what an executive order does, it's an executive order is meant to help the president enforce a law, but it's meant to fill in a gap that the law could not foresee. So when they passed the 1986 weapon ban, assault weapons ban, nobody foresaw that someone would create a device that would allow a semi-auto weapon to effectively be turned into a full auto by using its own recoil, which is what a bump stock does. So then Trump writes an assault weapons ban, or he writes an executive order, and it just says, okay, this a bump stock technically is a modification. And he was right. It is a modification, and bump stock should be banned.
I think so too, because I watched everything that happened in Las Vegas, and I was just like to me that was kind of like my 9/11, because I was alive during 9/11, but I wasn't old enough to remember it. But that fucking event has been so memory hold that people don't even fucking remember that it happened. Just the fact that it's inconvenient that somebody committed a mass shooting with a bunch of assault rifles and modified guns, and then everyone wants to turn it on its head and say, oh, we got to ban all of this stuff, we got to get it out of here. But it's more about how this psychopath that was showing signs that he was going to do some fucked up shit, and his brother that they interviewed, he doesn't really come across to me like he's being entirely truthful, because he says that there was never any warning signs. But if you look at this guy's history with what he was doing on the strip in Las Vegas, there were warning signs all over the place, but what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas or whatever, right? So, yeah, guy commits the worst gun massacre in American history, and years later, people barely fucking remember it. The only thing that happened is the bump stock ban because of it. But yeah, what I fear is people aren't exactly targeting public areas for terrorist attacks or anything, but I'm worried that if it gets too crazy and there's just rioting and everything, there's going to be individuals who go out of their way to like commit crimes, you know?
Okay, I have a serious question bringing that up. Pardon me. But I have a serious question.
All right.
Either one of you gentlemen, and I don't mean this in a joking way because of well, I'll go ahead and give a little bit of it away, the movie. But do you ever think that an actual purge would ever be implemented?
You know, that was fucking trending on Florida Twitter. I was looking at Florida Twitter because it's really funny right now with all the COVID memes. But the purge is trending in Florida because we all just got an alert that played over the phone saying that it was like an emergency alert saying that when you walk inside anywhere, you have to be wearing a mask now. Like, it's mandatory. And I'm like, too little, too late. I wish that they did this fucking months ago. But
Oh yeah, they should have done that back when they declared it a pandemic.
yeah, but we want to give people the illusion that they have a fucking choice in the matter, which they really don't. It's either wear a mask or get the fuck out, you know? Like, that's how I would be looking at it as a business owner. Like, I would be worried about profit, but not as much. Like, the business is still going to run as long as it's open to some capacity. So there's always going to be profit, right? The business isn't going to die, but I would be worried about people contracting COVID at my business and then never coming back there again because of that. You know, I would be doing as much as possible, which would include people wearing masks, having hand sanitizer everywhere that the guests and the employees can use. But a lot of places are like, they are doing it or they waited too long. Like I work at a restaurant and we just now got these big tubs of liquid hand sanitizer and it's really shitty and cheap, but hey, it is fucking strong and it smells like shit. So that's how you know it works. But we should have had that when we first opened our doors again, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think not March. April is when everything started opening. And
See here, like we like where I live, we wound up closing back down, or like we stayed. That we were much more. They kept like putting off when they were going to reopen.
yeah,
Like Florida and it was either Florida or Nevada, or maybe Florida and Texas. They watched it closely here at the state level, and even where I work, they have told us they're like work from home until further notice.
yeah. I mean, there's not really much people can do though. Like, Florida is a tourism state. There are so many people below the poverty line here that it's not even funny. So
Yeah.
like, if everything literally closes, like every restaurant and anything that is open,
People are starving.
oh yeah, people are going to probably die. Like, a lot of people are going to die, not from the virus itself, but from fucking not having enough fucking food or water, or not having a house anymore because they couldn't pay their rent. You know, like,
Yeah.
Florida kind of screwed itself over, and in retrospect, it's kind of funny. It would be funnier if I didn't live here, but like, it's funny that they focused so heavily on the tourism and they didn't invite other industries here that were interested in coming here. It was all about tourism and vacation spots and hotels. We could have made Florida into like a massive, you know, coastal, I don't know, like a metropolis, you know, like it could have been.
And y'all have a perfect tax situation there, like no state income tax.
Exactly. You know, like, the government has showed how incompetent it is here, though, when it really comes down to it. Whenever there's a hurricane or something, like, they pretend to give a shit, but they are really just squirreling away a lot of money that is supposed to be used for the emergency relief fund and the hurricanes and stuff. Like, Where's your intergalactic worker visa? Hey, I left it in my other wallets. Let me go back to my spaceship real quick.
It's in my other pants.
Yeah. Just kidding. I don't wear pants.
Hey,
Oh,
alien.
hey. Hi, Cody. Florida used to be called God's waiting room just because of the number of retirees there. Now I guess it doubles since there's so many people not caring about COVID. Yeah.
That's why I
Florida,
was
stay
saying
a
God.
while.
Yeah, forever.
And ever and ever. Rot in the grounds here. It's great.
Woo.
So Widow, to answer your question, honestly, I don't see a purge situation actually happening here, because here's what would happen. The people who are armed to the teeth would be hunkered down in their homes with their friends and family members, and anybody that would show up, they're going to pick off any would-be criminals or any would-be, because in a purge situation, nobody's technically a criminal, but any would-be assailant.
Technically, everybody's a criminal at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, well, not everybody. There's going to be people that just try to hunker down like in the movie, but that doesn't fucking work, man. Like, you have to defend yourself. If people are literally rushing at you, it's not like zombies, man. You can't outsmart them. You know, I mean, maybe you can. You can whip out a fucking flamethrower from under your mattress and like shove that in their face, but I'm pretty sure they're sold out of the limited edition Elon Musk flamethrowers, so I'm not sure where you would get
sold
one.
out of those the first day.
I know, man. I would love to get one.
Yeah. Well, but the way I'm looking at it though too is a lot of people in a purge situation are going to grab whatever they have at hand. And yes, there will be a few people who wind up getting handguns, but most of the people who are going to attack are going to use their fists or some type of like melee weapon.
Probably a lot of kitchen knives, blades. Like if they literally were like, the police aren't going to respond to anybody for like 24 hours. Like I can see a lot of people arming themselves with kitchen stuff, you know, a lot of kitchen stuff. Maybe some people would get more creative and they'd actually build like some MacGyver contraptions. But I think the majority of people, yeah, they're going to be coming at you with either a knife or some sort of ranged metal weapon, a bat or a tube, a metal pipe, something like that. Most people don't have handguns ready to go or guns ready to go. It depends where you go, but like I'd imagine in the richer suburbs, a lot more people own guns. So people wouldn't exactly go there first. They would go to the poor, low-income neighborhoods and take whatever they wanted from there, and then move on.
And that's why I don't. And people are going to wind up destroying their own neighborhoods more than anything else, because, like you're saying, the wealthy people are going to be relatively safe. The middle class people are going to be relatively safe. It's just going to be the poor and the low middle class that are going to see the greatest amount of suffering, because they're going to have just so many people who are thinking in the short term. Because let's say that someone comes in and you've got someone has an AR-15. Well, you can have a 30-round magazine for one of those, and then just have just an ungodly amount of magazines just sitting there. And if you have a group of people coming up, let's say it's like 4 or 5, and you just pick off 1 or 2 of them, that's realistically going to be enough to scare the others. It's like a fist fight. If you've got like a group,
it's not like TV where people are just going to keep coming at you. Like, if
that
you
requires military training
or seriously injure an assailant, like the chances are the rest of them are going to run.
Oh yeah, and especially if you, and this is going to be gross the way I say it, but especially if you wind up wounding one and he's close, and you can do some psychological torture by making his compatriots hear his screams and misery.
You gotta play the psyops with them.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of psychological damage that you could do to a whole group of people before they would even come to your front door, and that's kind of the stuff that we'd see. So realistically, in a purge situation, it would only occur like once before people realize I am not going anywhere near those guys because those guys have the weaponry.
Right.
And because
I think people would figure that out pretty fast. Like, look at what happened in Minnesota, or Minneapolis. I'm sorry. They went after places with absolutely nobody there, thankfully, and destroyed them. But they, like, imagine if there were people in those buildings. What do you think the crowd would have done to them?
Oh, no telling.
Yeah.
No telling what they would
There's
have done.
nobody wants to think about that, but I think about it every day because I'm wondering if suddenly a big crowd is just going to form and like come into the restaurant where I work at and just decide to set it on fire. You know,
Yeah.
like psychologically, there's a lot of bullshit that's happening right now that I feel like we could have a real purge happen, but it's not going to be like as played up as the movie. Real life is a lot more subtle than that. But like, yeah, there's already people dying out there, you know? There's already riots and stuff instigated by police brutality turn into something worse, you know? They turn into attacking small business owners, attacking your own neighborhoods and burning them down, destroying them. And it's like, man, when that was happening, the news just broadcast it every day, and they do it every fucking time. Like, they paint everybody there like they're a fucking angel from heaven, when the reality is a lot of them don't give a shit about racist cops or police brutality. A lot of them just want to fucking cause chaos and mayhem. They just want to let loose and fuck some shit up, which I understand. But you can't just take over an entire city, you know? Like, there has to be some fucking level of law and order that's holding society together, or people are going to freak out and they're going to start killing each other. Like, if the social contract doesn't exist anymore, then all bets are off. People are going to go psycho crazy, like, real fast. You guys ever played the Dead Rising games?
No.
Yeah.
One thing about that series
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, one thing about the series that's really stand out is that, you know, there's a lot of zombies, but the survivors, a lot of them go completely crazy, and it just shows you that, like, and like a lot of fictional end of the world sort of apocalyptic scenarios,
Right.
you always have groups of people that are like the best at surviving because of how brutal they are, you know? And like, I don't want us to get to that point where people like that have control of entire cities. Like that's insane. That's not even like a country anymore.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, honestly, when the pandemic hit, I was waiting for the zombies. I mean, I was
aliens to show up.
Honestly, I'm hoping more for zombies than aliens, but both could be interesting at the same time, maybe a few months apart. I mean, if Kadenza, if your people are as cool as you, I mean, I have to go with y'all. So,
hey, Lamo, hey, on that note, I actually do got to get going.
Yeah, it's getting about time to wrap up. So, if you do you have anything? Can you kind of give us an idea about your rebranding that you're going to do, or when we can expect to see it?
Oh, I'm glad you asked about that. Well, I think that it's going to be, basically the same thing that I've done before, which is live stream with some sort of plan or topic. And what I want to do more is talk to my audience one-on-one. So a lot of it is going to be probably just me. Like I might have guests on, but I want to try to explore how to be like a better host,
Right.
Like I think the best way to do that is to go it alone with a plan sometimes, and sometimes just wing it. But I think I'm gonna call I'm gonna call it Kadenza's Hot Box instead of Out of This World, because
Right.
it sounds more like you're stuck in a like a high school bathroom, like smoking a movie with me, like it's more personal.
You're yeah, well, yes, okay, smoking in the boys' room. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, there's that old Motley Crue reference.
Yeah, I always thought they were talking about smoking cigarettes, but now I know better.
Well, once you're ready to get that going and everything, and I'm sure I speak for TF when I say this, but we would love to join you one evening on your show.
Oh yeah, I would love to have you guys too. It was certainly an interesting conversation. This is a different angle for me because it's the first time I've been on somebody else's show. So,
well, I will say this with all sincerity that you are always welcome here. So anytime that we're doing a show and it's just the two of us, if you want to pop in for a few minutes, Cryvel, any of them, we may pass out a link here and there to have some people just pop in at random with us from time to time. But certainly you are always welcome to come on.
Hell yeah, brother.
And but yes, thank you so much for coming on. And I know that today is a weird day for us to be doing the show and everything, but because of the holiday and weekend coming up, I've got to. It's either
fuck the 4th of July. They're already launching fireworks outside my house. I thought they were gunshots because we live in like not the best part of the city. Like, oh shit, because it was like pop, 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 pop. It sounded like somebody shooting fast.
Well, I have to work also, so I figured go ahead and get this week's show in and go from there. That way the week's covered, and then just get back on the regular schedule.
Hey, at least you got a schedule. Like I'm not really sure when I'm putting out content, but I know that when I do upload my next video, it's gonna be pretty lit. So if you guys want to, you can subscribe to Kadenza.
Oh yeah, I'm already.
What was it going to end on? Oh yeah, you know what my city is doing? Instead of having one big fireworks display, there's going to be like 4 smaller ones, and one of them is like right next to my house.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna hate if I work that day. I'm actually gonna request it off if I still can, because I didn't even think about that, but it's going to be so annoying serving people on that day.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be like a million people in town to see the pretty fireworks and catch coronavirus.
Dude, you may want to ask for that day off and maybe go get a hotel room for the night.
Yeah, fuck everything. Fuck everybody out there. Like, I'm just going to chill in a nice, clean hotel room.
Right. Just go, like, ask that day off, pack a bag. If you got a laptop, take it with you. See, that's what you should do right there. Your first show should be just chilling in a nice hotel room to get away from the fireworks.
That would be cool. Rip Out of This World. Yeah, it was beautiful while it lasted, Wanderer.
Well, I think they need to do what happened with the San Diego fireworks display a few years ago when the entire display went off in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Malfunctioning.
I hope they do that.
Just shot that load really fast, right?
All at once.
Exactly.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
That's what you call premature explosion.
Wish me luck, boys, because I am at ground zero here, and I will be reporting soon. So stay tuned.
All right. All right, man. Well, thank you for coming on, and have a good evening, and I'll be in touch with you soon.
Have a beautiful evening, everybody. Later.
You too. Have a good one.
Oh, dude, that was a good show, man. I like Kadenza, man.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be having him back on. Okay, so right now, what we're going to be looking at, Wanderer, you keep doing
I
an
think
awesome.
Wanderer's gone though. Is he still here with us?
Yeah, he's still poking around. So Wanderer, keep doing an awesome job on the banner for us, buddy, and we really appreciate it. And once we get everything done, we will have the artist himself come on the show and have some fun with us. But so no show this coming Saturday because I will be working. But next Saturday we will definitely be having a show. Hopefully I can get in contact with StooDogg soon and see how he's doing. But once again, we do wish him all the best and hope he's doing okay. Do we want to do Misadventures of TF and Widows next show?
Oh yeah, I'm totally down for that, man.
Okay. All right. So the next show will be the Misadventures of Widows and TF. We will share as many stories as we can possibly remember.
I'm certain there are more stories that we don't remember.
Exactly. So the next show, you guys are going to kind of get a little bit more of a peer into who we are, in a way. But that is what we will have planned for the next episode, which once again will be coming up not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday. In the meantime, I'm still going to be trying to get some new guests on here. May talk to Sir Hatman and have him join us one evening for conversation. Speaking with Sir Hatman is always a pleasure, and he's always welcome here as well. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. And I understand that once again, it's been a weird day to have the show, but I always like coming on here with TF and entertaining you guys and having a few more people that, find their way in, and we can just, welcome them and have, just let them join in the conversation. But we will be back very soon. But if, and I'm going to go ahead and say this so we can maybe try to get a little, discussion going in the comments. If you guys have any ideas of channels that we should look into, YouTubers maybe we can get in contact with and have them come on and hang out with us and have a few laughs, post them down in the comment section and let's go from there. But, pass the stream around, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and we do really appreciate it. TF, anything from you before we sign out?
No, man, I'm good. Everybody have a happy and safe 4th of July.
Don't hold fireworks. That's dangerous. And
I've got friends who every year they turn the Roman candle display into a Harry Potter wizarding war, and I'm just like, y'all are stupid. Those things blow up like dynamite.
Exactly. No holding Roman candles and no shooting bottle rockets out of your butt crack, as we saw Steve-O do many times.
But shooting them out of your friend's butt crack is actually much safer for you.
Do what?
Shooting them out of your friend's butt crack is actually much safer for you.
It's much safer for you. Well, all right, guys. Thank you so much again for tuning in. This is always a pleasure to do this for you guys and have you guys show up and interact with us. So everybody, you have a great 4th of July. If you're working, have a good day at work and make that money. And if you're going to be staying at home, be safe, please. Once again, no holding Roman candles and no shooting bottle rockets out of your butt crack. Your friend's butt crack is fine because you will be perfectly safe. Let's all remember that. Well, all right, guys. We will see you on the next show. And until then, peace be with you.